Hi everyone, I'm Katrina Stratton, Occupational Therapist at Spectrios Institute for Low Vision, and I'm here to tell you about my favorite built-in accessibility features for iPads and iPhones. Some of the devices that we already have are some of our best tools for vision loss, and iPads and iPhones have some really excellent built-in accessibility features that if you're already using or if you want to learn about, hopefully I can provide you with some tips and strategies for how to make your iPad or your iPhone easier to see.
Okay, everyone, so we are looking at the home screen of an iPad now. So most of what I am going to be talking about applies to iPads and iPhones, and I will note that I am up to date with my software. So my iPad is running the most up-to-date software. And so if you are running an older version or if you're watching this after May 2020, you might have a different software, so things might be slightly different. But in general, I'll try and point some of those differences out, and this is a good general overview. So the first thing that you will probably notice is that I have a black background. I like a black background for people with vision loss because it reduces some of the visual distraction that can come with putting a lovely personal photograph as the background. You can keep a personal photograph as your lock screen, but I recommend a plain black background for the home screen. So let's go ahead and open up the settings so that I can talk about a few things there. Now, when I open up the settings, you'll see that it automatically opens right up to general. Now, if you are running an older software than I have, sometimes the accessibility settings are within general. So you would just scroll on the right-hand side here and look for accessibility. But because, like I said, I'm running updated software, my accessibility settings are on the left here. So at the very top of this group is general. We have control center, display and brightness, home screen and dock, and accessibility. So I'll go ahead and select accessibility. It's going to bring us into the accessibility settings, and lucky us, the vision settings are at the very top here. I'm going to start with some of the more simple changes. I want to select display and text size. It's the fourth from the top, the really sort of middle of the first grouping of accessibility settings there. So I'll go ahead and select that. And it's going to open us up to the display and text size settings. The very first listing is bold text, and I am going to select that right away. It's one of my favorites, and you'll see what it does to the text. It has made everything more bold, thicker, and just by that kind of bolding of the text, it makes things easier to see. The other two toggles that I'm going to go ahead and toggle on is reduce transparency. Now that is kind of hard to see in the settings menu, but what it does is it improves contrast by reducing transparency and blurs with backgrounds. Tends to increase our ability to see things. And then one of my other favorites is increase contrast. This makes a minor change, but I think it's a pretty important one. It makes some of that text that is gray on a gray background just a little bit darker so that it stands out better. So I'll go ahead and toggle that on as well. You can see now that there is better contrast being featured both on the right-hand settings and on the left-hand settings. Last spot that we want to visit here in display and text is larger text. So I'll go ahead and select that. And really, we're sort of middle of the road now, but we can bump it up all the way without even toggling on the accessibility sizes. But if we do that, we get a lot of more room to grow. So this is how big it can get. And you'll notice that's quite large, so much so that there are some words, like you can see here, accessibility on the left-hand side, that are long enough that they have to be hyphenated and take up 2 lines. So it gets quite large, which I like a lot. I'm going to toggle it off for now, and we'll leave it at sort of the top of the sizes before we get into the accessibility sizes. Now I'm going to go back to the accessibility settings. So I've just gone back twice to accessibility settings. And the other place I want to draw your attention is spoken content. Now you'll see here the top 2 selections are both toggled on. The first is speak selection. And speak selection, when it's turned on, means that a speak selection or a speak button will appear when you long press text, when you select text, which I will demonstrate for you in just a second with the text message, because that's kind of my favorite place to use that. And then speak screen is also toggled on. The way that you use speak screen is it's really good for emails or something where there's a lot of text and you really just want to hear everything that's on the screen. You take 2 fingers from the very top of the screen and swipe down. And when Apple says top of the screen, they mean very top. You almost want to be touching the top edge of the physical device. So you do that by swiping 2 fingers down. With speak screen, you'll hear the content from the whole screen. Now with speak selection, like I said, I like to use it with text messages. So we are going to go back to the home screen and we're going to select our messages from the bottom dock here. And you can see I've got some text messages up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my finger down on that larger speech bubble from the text message, and it's going to bring up a menu that will include the word speak. So on the right-hand side here, you can see there's copy, send to email address, speak, and more. What we want is speak. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and you may be able to hear it in the background coming from my iPad. It's just going to read that text message to me.
Speak selection is one of Katrina's favorite built-in accessibility features.
So that's how that works. It is just a long press on the text itself. You just hold your finger down, and that's how you get that menu. So we're going to go back home again and back into the settings for me to show you just 2 more things. On the left-hand side here, I'm going to scroll until I see display and brightness. Now, there are some people that really like a black background. So what Apple has done is they have offered this dark appearance. So I can change my selection from light appearance to dark appearance. Some people call it dark mode. And what it does is it makes the background black and all of the text white. So if I scroll a little bit, you can see that the text is either white or light gray, and I have a black background now. That's going to apply to pretty much every app, but it won't change the appearance of any pictures, which is a really nice feature. So we'll go ahead and go back to light for now, for those that prefer that. And I'm going to select home screen and dock, which is just below display and brightness. This is the last little accessibility feature that I wanted to show you. At the top here, you can see where it says app icons. Their options are more or bigger. So more, like it says, will show more, whereas bigger shows larger icons. So I'm going to go home right now just so you guys can see what my home screen looks like right now. and then I'll go back to the settings and I will change to bigger. Now if I go home, you can see now that my applications, my app icons are much larger. They're taking up more space and are thus easier to see. Now, if you are on an iPhone, this is in a different spot. It is under display and brightness. You will just have to scroll down to the bottom on that, and it says view, and your options are standard or zoomed. With zoomed view, your icons will look larger and be much more like my iPad icons here under the bigger setting. So that's it for my few favorite accessibility features built in to iPads and iPhones. They are generally found under accessibility, with a few under home screen and dock and display and brightness. Thanks for watching.